Hey, groovy cats. On this episode of Living in Las Vegas, there's a joke around here in town that goes like this. If you're diagnosed with an illness, the first place you should go is McCarran Airport. But on this episode, we're going to blow that idea completely out of the water. And then, you remember the movie Midnight Express? It was about a guy smuggling heroin into Turkey. He gets arrested, he goes to jail, then he gets kind of bad. It's about a dude named Billy Hayes, and I met him this weekend. I'll tell you about that conversation. Then, of course, have a drink on me. This is the Living in Las Vegas podcast. Kind of like that guy. Let's get started.
Mic drop.
I'll be here all week. Living in Las Vegas starts now. Yes, it does. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, that groovy little podcast that gives you a true first-person look into what it's like to call Sin City your home, the Living in Las Vegas podcast. And now your host, a man who clearly needs some kind of introduction, otherwise you wouldn't know who he was.
I'll sing it, brother Scott.
Mr. Scott Whitney. There I am flying, and there shows you how I flew. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Living in Las Vegas podcast here on the Vegas Video Network. I'm your host, Scott Whitney. Konnichiwa. Buenas noches. And how you doing, hot stuff? No accent, no need. I'm so close to what's really happening here. It's going to be an exciting educational show, and I couldn't do it without, well, me. God, that's dumb. But also this guy, I love him. He is today my favorite broadcaster in the room.
Ooh,
it's up and down.
It fluctuates
sometimes
every week.
I'm up, sometimes I'm down. A big hand, everybody, for Brett Grant.
Hello again, everybody. How you doing? Hey, let me hear you.
Hi.
We're back. Yes, indeed. Nice to be with you. Nice to be with you as always.
Nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere, quite frankly.
That's for sure.
Hey, over and under. I'm going
4 or 5 hours.
I'm going to go. Yeah, last week's was a 2-hour show. So if you bet the over for the first time, you were a winner.
Yeah, it's never gone over before. I don't know how we do it.
But this one we're doing 60 minutes.
Okay,
that's what we're going to do. I've actually cut out one of our topics to make 60 minutes.
Well, we could go one topic, no matter what week, for 60 minutes if we wanted to.
Probably true.
As long as you stop harnessing me in and
you're
whipping me around and say, get back on topic.
Yes, I'm the one. Come closer. Come closer. No, seriously.
Seriously, come closer?
Can you come closer?
Should I move the table closer?
No, I thought, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not seeing you.
So
before we get started with the real thing, I got to tell you a little story. So there's a movie. This is like in 1978, and the movie was called Midnight Express. And I'm telling you, it was one of the most frightening movies ever shot. It was about a guy. His name is Billy Hayes. And old Billy, he likes the hash. Who doesn't? Hash is lovely.
Goes well with eggs.
It does. Hash.
Oh, not that kind of hash.
It's a different kind of hash.
Oh.
It's the kind of hash.
1978 hash.
Both of them can make you feel good.
Yeah.
And hungry. That's actually Chinese food. Anyways.
Was Domino's around back in 78?
I don't think they were. So old Billy decides, I'm going to smuggle hash. Who doesn't think that? And I think I'll do it in Turkey. Now, Turkey...
yeah,
they're
nice
not real big on the hash.
Right.
So he goes to Turkey with his hash, and apparently he had done this a few times before. This time, didn't work out for him.
Right.
He gets caught, he gets arrested, and he gets put into a jail. And this is not a good jail like, say, here in Clark County.
That's a good jail?
So
I don't think there's any such thing as a good jail.
I don't know. Let's just say it's a good jail. By the way, my guess is compared to what the hellhole he was in.
The Hilton. Yeah.
So he was in jail for 5 years. Now, his name is Billy Hayes, and I met him this weekend.
The actor or Billy Hayes?
The real Billy Hayes.
The real Billy Hayes.
I met that guy.
Oh, okay. You didn't meet the actor.
No, the actor, he's not working anymore.
Okay. Okay, I thought you met the actor.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I met the real guy.
Oh, how'd that happen?
So weird. Well, I was at a party.
And how did you know it was him?
Well, it was so weird.
Okay, all right.
It was so cool. We're going to probably do over
It's not even close.
All right, so look, here's what happened. So Melissa met a couple gals. We actually met these two really interesting women in a bar. How could that have happened? Actually,
Former hash dealers.
it was actually at Triple George. It was the bar in a nice restaurant.
Right. Very nice.
We met these two women. This is like a couple months ago, and they were really they're older gals and really cool and fun and happening. And Melissa said, I'm kind of thinking your guys are cool, and they were cool. And so Melissa started hanging out with these two, and actually a big group of them. And she's having a great time. And they went and saw like a 50 Shades of Grey party, and I'm like, oh, okay, there we go.
All right.
I like these people already. And then they decided to have a party where men can come. And so we went.
Right.
And Melissa had mentioned that she had met the wife of Billy Hayes. And it just kind of went like, good story. Okay.
But when she said the name Billy Hayes, you knew what that meant?
I knew exactly
Really?
who it was. Oh yeah. Well,
Okay.
she also mentioned that it was the guy from Midnight Express.
Okay.
That movie was, it was a big movie. It was, you obviously haven't seen it. If you'd seen it, you'd be like,
I have not seen it. I will have to go watch it, yes.
Anyway, so she mentions that at this party we're going to, this guy will be here. Completely slipped my mind.
Okay.
So I walk into the party, and I know that people won't know this, but I'm kind of shy if I don't know people. So I'm walking in, and I'm high. I recognize the two women who I'd met before, and hey, how you doing? Meet a couple more women. I meet this guy, and he's like this little guy, slight, blonde hair. Hey, I'm Billy. Didn't know who he was.
Right.
Nice to meet you, Billy. I'm like, get me a sangria. Let's get going here, because I don't know anybody. And so we're all kind of talking and BSing and doing whatever. And it comes time for dinner. We're dining outside, and this one gal says, "I want you, Billy, to sit next to Scott. You guys should meet." I'm like, "Well, that's fine. That happens to me all the time." Okay, so we start.
Who's full of themselves now?
Right.
Tomahawk said,
Nobody I know. Okay, so we start talking, and we're just kind of BSing, and I'm a pretty good asker of questions. So I'm like, what's your background? What'd you do before? He goes, well,
What do you do for a living, Billy?
I was
Smuggle hash into Turkey.
well, he's an actor now.
He is?
Yeah, and he does a one-man show about that experience.
Okay.
But anyway, so he brings up, I'm the guy who was in Midnight Express, but I'm the actual guy. I'm like, whoa, holy crap. Are you kidding me? This is the greatest dinner I've ever been to. Let me ask you a couple of questions. So first of all, he's the nicest guy.
Well, good.
Like I said, slight, not big, sweet. And I'm like, oh, man.
Well, he's got to be how old?
He's probably, I think he's 20. He's probably mid to late 60s now. He actually looks pretty young for his age.
Okay.
So I'm like, geez, good Lord, man. And I think I even mentioned this. You're not a very big guy. I imagine prison was rough for you, if you know what I'm saying. So there's a scene
Sweetheart.
There's a scene in this movie where it's the final scene. It's the big deal where he gets in a fight with a guard. It's a big giant guard. Guard's like, I don't know, 6'4", 6'5". He's 300 pounds. And he's in a round room, and his intent is to rape Billy. So he, unzips his pants, pulls his pants down. He's going after Billy, and Billy's like, I'm not having any of this. So he rushes the guard, hits him, pushes him against the wall, and there are little coat hangers all around the wall. And so the coat hanger goes in the back of this guy's head, the guard, kills him. So Billy's like, oh, this is my chance. So he takes off the guy's clothes. Now, Billy's like this big, and this guard's this big. Takes off his clothes, gets his keys, and that's how he escaped.
Oh, wow.
So he escaped. He really did. So I'm like, wow, Billy, I got to ask you, and I'm almost positive you get this question all the time, but, what was it like to kill the guard? Was it kind of weird? And he was like, never happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Wait a minute. That's kind of an important scene. He goes, yeah, it never happened. I'm like, oh, jeez, really? He goes, yeah. So he told me the story about first of all, he hung out with Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone wrote that picture before anybody knew him.
Well, he's never told the truth ever. So Oliver Stone.
Right.
Exactly.
So he's like, we're getting high and we're writing the story. And Oliver had originally written the story the true way. And here's how the true way. Then the studios got it and said, nope, that's not what we want.
Good enough.
We're going to have the big scene. And that was the scene. I said, well, so what really happened? He goes, it's really, not movie exciting, but I just got a boat. I stole a boat that was kind of part of this prison and just rowed away.
How do you get to the boat?
At that point, I'm like, you didn't kill the guard. I really wanted you to kill the guard, man, because that guy was a bastard, and I wanted him out. He's like, so we didn't really go into the details. But so this guy now, Billy, like I said, super nice guy. He's been acting for he's been acting for 40 years, since then. But he's got a one-man show now, and he's done it in like Ireland. He's done it in Australia at a couple of comedy festivals, of all things. And he's, sniffing around here in Vegas. And I really hope he does the show here because I'm going. So that's my
That's interesting. You steal the boat in real life, and you start paddling away. Where the hell is he going? Does he know where he's going?
Did he go?
I'm going south. Now I'm in Iraq. This is not any better.
I don't know. Damn it, I forget where he told me he went.
Well, he went from Europe to Asia. He's what town in Turkey? Was he in Istanbul?
He actually somehow got to Greece. Okay. Greece held him for 12 days. And then something happened where Greece said, they basically puked him out. Get out of here. So he ended up getting back to America as a result of somehow getting to Greece. I don't know the process. At that point, we're like 5 sangrias, and I'm like, we're going to go on a boat here pretty soon. Good story, Billy.
All right, well, interesting.
So I'm just telling you, if he's here, we're going to his place.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
Now, you saw somebody mildly famous as well.
I did. I went to a concert over the weekend. I went and saw Pat Benatar and Neil Gerardo.
A great guitar player.
Excellent guitar player. I didn't realize he was with Rick Derringer. I didn't know that's how he got it. That's how they found him.
Oh, is that right?
He was from, I forget where he was from. He's from Cleveland. And
right.
And she was from Queens. And was basically the tour they're on is a continuation of their 35th anniversary tour.
Okay.
They've been married for 33 years.
All right.
They met because Pat was going to go to Juilliard, going to do all kinds of stuff. Ended up, she fell in love, got married to a guy she got married to a guy who went into the military. And she decided then that she was going to have to go work and go to school and no Juilliard and yada, yada, yada. Then I guess that marriage fizzled real quick. And
right.
She ended up started singing again, and somebody saw her. And she got signed by, I think, Chrysalis Records signed her at the time. They said, then they were doing some stuff in the studio, and she goes, "I'm just not feeling it. That's not what I want. I don't want to be this pop thing. I want a rock band. I want to be the front person for a band. I need a guitar player.
Right.
I need a guitar player." And she met a guy who knew Neil, and goes, "I know the guy you need." He goes, and so he calls Neil and says, "I got a great singer we just signed. The singer needs a lead guitarist and somebody who can write, somebody who can arrange, somebody who can do all the stuff that he was doing for Rick Derringer." And he goes, "All right, I'd love to meet him." It's not a him. It's a her. Pat Androgyny. He goes, "No, it's not a him. It's a phenomenal singer with an incredible voice." And then they came out and met, and the rest is history. They got married a couple years later.
He had a really good drummer, too, a little skinny guy who could drum like
that. No, very good. And she's he just turned... His birthday's coming up. He's turning 60. So she's 63.
Right.
She's older, 63, 64. She wasn't dressed the way you would think that she might be dressed.
She looked a little puffy.
She's still skinny. She still looks good.
But she looked puffy.
A little bit. Yeah, I thought so kind of too.
Probably could have done a little bit.
But she can still belt it out.
They did one thing really
fantastic.
bad.
And she did a little Johnny Cash towards the end in the encore.
I hear that
they did Ring of Fire.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, you didn't? No, you weren't.
Burn in a burn. I used to play Johnny Cash songs for my stepdad when I wanted something.
Oh, there you go. So they did their 14 songs. They always do. From the famous ones,
right.
Heartbreaker and Hit Me With Your Best Shot, and all that kind of stuff.
They didn't do any jazz, did they?
He did a couple solo stuff on the piano and guitar. I mean, obviously he's a great guitar player.
Because they did a jazz album that was shit.
No, they didn't do any jazz. They did
14 minutes in, first cuss word.
Oh, we're improving.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
Wayne's World.
No cussing.
Party down.
Stop swearing. Okay, so anyways, you liked her. She did a nice job.
She was very, very good.
And
it brought me to think. So, okay, you saw Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac the week before. I see Pat Benatar. That got me to thinking, who is the greatest female front rock band person of all time?
I know.
Is it? All right.
I know.
I mean, there are a few names pop in my head.
Let's hear what you got.
Well, I mean,
I know.
All right.
I just know.
Ann Wilson pops in my head pretty good too.
Yep, she's good. But she didn't rock the way the woman I'm thinking.
Well,
rocked.
if you're thinking like Janis Joplin or somebody like that.
No, she's good.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
So you've got your Ann Wilson. Who else do you have?
Well, those are the four. I pretty much kind of got stuck on those four, thinking.
Here it is.
I'm sure I forgot others.
So this is a very chauvinistic thing to say, but I've always said that I would really not want to be in a rock band with a woman.
Right.
Because I want somebody who leads a singer. Because I want them to just be.
I want to hear the live chatters. Give me your favorite. Who do you think is the best female front person for a rock band? I don't want to hear Madonna.
Right.
I want to hear a rocker.
All right. So here's the. Well, maybe I'll stretch for a little while. Okay. Now, Annie Lennox. Right. No.
No.
Okay. Me. Melissa.
She's the greatest shower singer of all time. Yes.
She can sing.
My wife is the un-American Idol.
I love Melissa. Me. By the way, congratulations to Melissa.
Lita Ford. I saw Lita Ford. I met Lita Ford.
Here's what's good about Lita Ford.
My first radio job in Quincy, Illinois, she was rocking out at the Hannibal, Missouri Amphitheater on the river. Lita Ford. She was gorgeous.
Here's what's wrong with Lita Ford. She's a idiot.
Well,
she can go herself.
Exactly.
First of all, she can't, and she can do nothing.
Right, but she's good looking.
She's pretty.
She was.
But God, she's horrible. Now, Joan Jett just got put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, she's a rocker. Not as rocky as the woman I'm thinking of.
All right. Well, we mentioned Stevie Nicks. We mentioned
Stevie Nicks is
Pat
not a rocker.
Benatar. We mentioned
Pat
Ann
Benatar
Wilson.
has rocked.
I think Pat Benatar's in there. I think she's certainly in the conversation.
I'll give her two. I'll give her maybe three.
It's in the top five. That's all I'm saying.
Without question.
Okay.
But there's only 5 women.
Right. Okay.
Can you name 5 rock singer? Ann Wilson, Pat Benatar.
We made 5. We named 5.
Okay, here it is.
You didn't like them.
Her name is Linda Perry.
Linda Perry.
You know who she is?
No.
Linda Perry was the lead singer for a group called Four Non-Blondes.
Oh, sure. Okay. What's going on? Great voice. Wonderful voice.
Her.
I said, hey. Yeah. But you got to be, but she wasn't world famous, though.
No, but that doesn't count. She was pretty damn famous when that song came out. That album came out. That whole album was amazing. Oh, there's another one.
I forgot her name.
Bonham.
Tracy Bonham, right.
She did a song called Mother that you're like, geez.
Right.
And she's about as big as a
minute. We think, okay, well, how about successful rock bands?
Linda Perry wrote Beautiful.
Four I know about, yeah.
Linda Perry wrote the song Beautiful for
Christina Aguilera.
Yeah,
which is a wonderful song.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So Linda Perry cannot be toyed with. I would not want to fight Linda Perry. She'd be like, I'm going to kick your ass and then get another tattoo. Fair enough, Linda.
All right. That is a great tune. No.
So
that's the problem. It's one song. I got to hear other Four Non-Blondes tunes.
Listen to that album.
All right.
That song is the most mellow song on that entire album.
Right.
That album just smokes. All right, let's get into it.
We said a rock band.
How are we in?
Not Shania Twain.
18 minutes. And now we're getting to the topic. Excellent. Okay. So those of you who have watched the new version of Living in Las Vegas have probably noticed that Brett a couple of times has mentioned that he has cancer. And Brett wanted to talk a little bit about the experience. And to be honest with you, this makes me a little nervous, to be honest. I don't know really where this conversation will go. I, like a lot of people, get nervous when talking about these things, because, it's a scary topic. And also, I don't want to be offensive. So, but Brett was very, very open. He basically filled out the outline for me.
I wrote all the questions. Of course, I forgot the answers. But that's beside the point.
But there's as I mentioned in the opening tease, there is an ongoing joke here in Las Vegas that says if you're sick, the first place you should go is McCarran Airport. And the reason behind that is because the reputation for the medical world here in Las Vegas is not very good. But the truth is, it sounds like, well, actually, I know, in my personal experience, it's gotten better. But I'm going to kind of just open this up to Brett a little bit. We're going to do a little back and forth. But Brett, let's talk about just the origin, the initial diagnosis of your cancer.
Well, it all started at a 5,000 watt radio station in Fresno. Wait, that's Ted Knight. Mary Tyler Moore.
It is.
Yeah. I basically in 2009, towards the end of the year, around the holidays, I just wasn't feeling well,
Right.
and went on for through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, and I finally went to the doctor, and regular doctor, and he took some blood work, and he was a friend of our family's, and said, "Look, let's go get a colonoscopy. Let's make sure it's not anything."
Right.
And he never said the word. Let's just make sure it's not anything.
And when you say you weren't feeling well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I was losing weight a little bit, wasn't eating a whole lot, was having a hard time, quite frankly, going to the bathroom.
Okay.
So, a lot of, discomfort and,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. And so, I went and got a colonoscopy, and, I was 42 years old at the time. I just celebrated, last week was my 48th birthday. So
Right.
it was my 6th birthday as a cancer patient,
Right.
which is a big milestone.
Huge.
So, I woke up from my colonoscopy, and the doctor came over and said, "You have cancer."
Just like that.
15 minutes later.
Jesus.
And I was pissed. I was angry. I was never,
You never got-
more mad in my life. I wasn't devastated. I wasn't heartbroken. I was pissed. And
I don't
I was just
understand
angry.
that.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
There's no freaking way that that's even possible. Because I'll never forget it, because everybody else that was in there getting a colonoscopy would be saying, "Oh, your spouse or your friend or your ride will meet you out this door here in 5 minutes.
Right.
Mr. Grant, we need to see you over here."
Oh, shit.
So you're not allowed to drive on the after you leave because you've been sedated.
I've had a colonoscopy.
Yeah. Well, and you're kind of sedated. They don't want you to drive, right?
I wasn't kind of sedated.
Yeah. I was kind of pissed and said, "Honey, give me the fucking keys. I'm driving home." All right. So that's what happened.
There we go.
And it was pouring down rain that day. It was January of 2010, middle of January, like the 19th or something, and it was just a horrible day all the way around. The weather was terrible, and of course you get that kind of news. So that immediately. We're on the phone calling friends and people in the medical profession that I knew, not necessarily doctors, but friends who worked with doctors. We've had some experience, unfortunately, with a son that had been ill, and we do and still do have a very good relationship with his main caretaker.
Right.
So my wife called him.
Right.
I'm calling friends of mine who are in the pharmaceutical sales industry, saying, "What doctor? What do you know? What can you tell me about a cancer doctor?"
Right.
That kind of stuff. And of course, the first thing you think of is, do I need to leave town? What do I need to do?
Right.
And the doctor that is close to our family, who's my son's cardiologist and still is to this day, a guy that we treasure his friendship and how good he is. His name is Dr. Bill Evans with the Children's Heart Center in Las Vegas. He's fantastic. And he goes, "You know what, Brett, I've been in town for 25, 30 years. And you know that I would send you out of town if I had to," because we went out of town twice for procedures for my son.
Right.
And he goes, "I'm not afraid to tell you to stick around or not stick around."
Right.
He goes, "There's a guy in town. I've known him for 25 years. He's tied in with UCLA. He's on top of everything. He's as good as anybody in the country.
Right.
I'm sending you to him."
Okay.
So that's how I ended up at the Comprehensive Cancer Centers here in town.
Really well known here.
Yeah, they're tied in with UCLA.
Yep.
And it's a very good place, at least for me. And Dr. Paul Michael is my doctor.
So you said you were never scared?
Well, initially with that,
You said you were angry in the beginning.
At the beginning, no, I was mad.
Right.
And I think once that initial thing went down, then of course you start thinking about all this stuff. And you don't really know exactly everything that's going on yet because it's so new. So immediately they sent me off to get a scan, which I did.
Right.
And then you find out where you are cancer-wise.
Right.
There's 4 stages of cancer.
Right.
So number 1, what type of cancer do you have? Number 2, what stage of cancer is it? Then number 3, what's the treatment level? Usually I'll get to that in a minute, but so for me, it was colorectal cancer,
Right.
which is not a good thing in men.
Right.
Normally, it doesn't happen until you're older, in your 50s or beyond. I mean, most men aren't told to go get a colonoscopy till you're 50. I was 42, so it was never even on my radar.
Did you have any of that in your family?
I had an aunt that had passed away from it, but she was in her late 60s when it happened. But, not on the male side of my family, really.
Right.
So I go and get my scan, and for those who might not be familiar with the disease, stage 1 is they found cancer cells in a specific organ, your lung, your liver, your colon, wherever. Stage 2 is those cells have attached themselves to the inner wall of the organ. Stage 3 is they're now on the outer wall of the organ, and stage 4 is they're Elvis. They've left the building.
Oh, is that what that
so
means?
Stage 4 is they're running around going, woohoo, party time, let's go.
Okay.
So I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic colorectal cancer, meaning it metastasized and it's moved on to other parts of my body.
Wow.
So it had moved to not just my rectum is where it was. So imagine this. I was going to bring in a ball. My tumor was the size of a softball.
Wow.
Softball. Now think of a golf ball, think of a ping pong ball, think of a tennis ball, think of a baseball, think of a softball. Next step was a bowling ball, I think. So I'm not sure what the name. So I'm thinking softball. Well, no wonder I couldn't go to the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
You know, so that was.
So when you got that diagnosis, was that in Vegas?
That was here in Vegas. So I pretty much had done everything in Vegas.
So that had to scare
except for my major surgery. Oh yeah, then you're realizing, okay, now I know what's going on. And then they tell you this, the size and the scope, and the first time you meet your doctor, it's kind of funny because he goes, I'm not even sure how you got in here so fast. It was like 2 days later, I'm in his office. Yeah. It's like, how did you get in here so fast? I don't even have your scans. I don't have anything. Who are you? And I told him the story, and he goes, my wife is very good at getting things done. I said, have you met my wife? Have you met my wife?
Full blood Italian.
Yeah, she's very good at getting things done. So we're in that office immediately, and I was diagnosed on a Friday, and I'm starting chemo on like Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's how fast it happened. Your whole world's turned upside down in 5 days, 4 or 5 days. Right. And the first 3 days are a whirlwind trying to figure out what's going on. And, of course, the hardest part of this entire thing was telling my children that I'm sick.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life was tell them.
Yeah.
So that was getting through that conversation. Because my daughter, who at the time was 15, it's hard enough to be a teenage daughter, a sophomore in high school.
Right.
A teenager, I should say, much less a girl, much less 15.
Right.
And then my sons were 12,
right.
trying to tell them that, I got some stuff going on. Yeah. Our lives are going to change, not just mine.
Because I had to scare the hell out of them.
Oh yeah, they don't quite understand it all at the time.
Yeah,
trying to figure out what does it all mean. Just like you don't understand what it all means, right? So you're trying, and I don't know what it all meant or means still.
Did the doctor who did the scan? Did they give you a prognosis, or does that happen later, or? How does that
you're going when you go to get a scan, you're going to basically a radiologist is looking at your scan, making their findings, and then passing that on to the oncologist.
Right.
So when I go to the first time and my oncologist is telling me, looking at the reports and telling me what I have,
and this is at the comprehensive cancer center.
And Dr. Michael has been one of those guys. He's very pragmatic about it. He doesn't really talk about prognosis and dates and stuff. The only thing I remember him ever saying to me is, if I get 2 years out of you, we're doing a good job. Like, whoa, what? And he goes, this is a big deal.
How does that not just...
It does.
I mean, I just kind of...
It's like the world fell on your chest. Them. Yeah, you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. And then you're going into this strange world of being hooked up to stuff, and you're getting... I mean, I had more people with their hand up my ass than I've ever experienced in my life. I'm thinking, I wish I got this kind of action in high school.
So, upside.
Exactly. Bend over.
Apparently.
You're a little too fat for me, Bob.
No one knew this, but Brett likes butt play. I mean,
it's like,
no one knew.
It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
So you start, the reaction is obvious, and your kids are freaked out, and obviously your wife is freaked out, and you have to be pretty scared as well.
Right.
One of the things that happened when because my mom went to a comprehensive cancer center, and the thing the doctor said to her, she didn't want to know the prognosis.
Right.
But the doctor said something along the lines of, there is no stamp on you that says how long you will live or not. We're just going to go off there and try to kick the crap out of this, which I thought was a great response in that environment, because she was a woman who said, if I get sick, I don't want to be kept alive, and the fuck she didn't. When the time came, she wanted to be kept alive,
right?
Which is, I think, a natural response. So you started chemo, and did you also have radiation? And I don't understand the difference between the two. Well,
chemo is chemicals to kill it.
Yeah.
Radiation is burn it.
But I always thought, I had the impression that radiation was also a chemical.
Well, it is, but it's more burning. It's more burning the cells.
So it's not
as opposed to chemically killing them with medicine. Like if you get an infection, you're going to take an antibiotic, and that's going to kill the infection. So that's basically chemo. The job of chemo, quite frankly, is to kill everything in your body without killing you, and hope the good cells survive and the bad cells die. That's basically what it is.
Right.
I mean, I've had over 100 rounds of chemo. I had one a week and a half ago, and I've got one probably in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And then radiation. I didn't have any radiation at all until 2 summers ago, and I've had one bout of radiation.
Okay.
And that was it. I had surgery. I mean, usually it's chemotherapy to shrink the tumor down. They call it the mother tumor. Basically, for me, it's the mother tumor.
All right.
And we got to kill the mother tumor.
Oh, so
then we'll go out and then after it's dead, it's still a mass in your body. And they go in and remove it.
So they don't just initially just go get it.
They can't because it's still, you got to make sure you're getting everything around it. It's dead. There's nothing else around there.
So they do chemo first,
typically,
to kill the mother thing,
right?
And then they come and take it out.
Yeah,
is that basically
that's what they did for me? Yeah.
Okay, so my guess
sometimes they can do it the other way around. They'll go in there and take it out, and then say, okay, afterwards, just to make sure there's the healthy cells around there, we're going to do chemo for a while to make sure you're all good.
Right.
If it's stage 1 or 2, but mine was stage 4. It's a little different.
They'd be more
along
aggressive,
the stages,
I'm assuming,
because I had cancer. I had now stuff in my lungs, in my liver, in my adrenal gland, and few other places, I'm sure.
Right.
And it was just a matter of making sure they could, with the chemo, be able to get it down. Now, the interesting thing is, I've never had, since that initial surgery, I've never had any issues in my colon or rectum, again, from a cancer standpoint, but I've had spots on my lungs. I've had spots on my liver.
Right.
My liver's been clean. That's a big one, thank God.
Yeah.
And I have small spots on my lungs, which are, when they say small spots, they're the size of BBs. Yeah. So when I think softball, BB. I can handle a couple of BBs. And the doctor even says, he goes, look, this likely across your chest is not going to kill you. And that's why we keep you on a maintenance program to keep it right, because lung cancer, it's not technically lung cancer. Even though the cancer's in my lungs, I still have colorectal cancer. Right. Because that's where it spread. But he says, look, if I said to you, hey, Brett, I'll see you in a year. Yeah. Then those little BBs are now M&Ms or almonds or ping pong balls, and you've got big problems.
Right.
They're like embers on a fire. If I leave them alone, they're going to spark up.
Right.
And I said, Doc, you do whatever you got to do. I'm here. I'm not
Knock
running away
that
from
shit
it.
out.
And you tell me what I need to do, and we're going to do it.
Right.
And that's fine.
So, so you'd mentioned in the notes about the burden to your family.
Well, it's
because, what do you mean?
Well, I think the biggest thing, obviously, for my wife, she's, the person, when you're the mother of family and you've got young children, or in our case, teenage children, and now growing up, and you've got your life that you're doing, and suddenly a significant part of that is sick or not able to do certain things, and that burden is huge. Of course, the emotional burden on top of that, worrying about each other, and all of that, and she certainly does her fair share of that for me, and I try not to be that way at home. There's days when you don't feel well. There's days where you don't want to get out of bed. There's days where you're hurt and you don't feel well, and your bones are creaking. Part of it's old age. Part of it is because you're not able to do the things you normally would have done before, and that wears on you. It's
I'm sorry to laugh, but I remember we were doing one of your videos, and we were both talking about ingrown toenails.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap. We are old.
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with us?
We talked about our surgical ways of doing them ourselves.
I'm like, because if you see my toes, it's a hot mess. I'm like, I don't need a doctor. Yeah, I've got the snippers, and I've got some clamps, and I'm like, my God, it's just nuts. Okay, so you start the chemo deal, and I'm assuming it was pretty aggressive in the beginning.
Oh, it was hardcore, knock you on your ass chemo. The funny thing was, I felt great after it was over, the very first one. I felt fine.
Right.
My sons at the time were in 6th or 7th grade, and one of them was playing basketball, and he had a game that night. So I went to his basketball game, and I ate dinner that night at home. Right. And by about 10 o'clock, there was nothing left in my body.
Oh,
I was, porcelain god, and that was on a Thursday, I think. And I don't think I ate again until Saturday.
Really?
I mean, I think I finally came downstairs. But I'll never. My mother-in-law came to stay with us for a couple of days and help, and I think I came downstairs on like Saturday morning and kind of did, what's for breakfast? And it was like, hallelujah, and then you realize what it takes for a while. But the medicine they put you on are, one of them is called there's a series of medicines called oxyplatins. And they make you very sensitive to anything cold. I mean, honestly, your laptop here, if I was doing that, at the time I couldn't touch this because the metal would just go right through your body.
Really?
And you had to drink lukewarm things because your throat would constrict.
Wow.
Couldn't swallow.
So you could choke.
It just feels like you are.
Okay.
Not that you actually are.
Right.
But they tell you, you're going to have to wear gloves because the cold is going to, it was January. It's 45-degree weather you're going to breathe it in and it's going to hurt your throat.
Right.
You're going to touch something in your car and you're going to have to wear gloves. Like,
no kidding.
This is weird. You don't really believe it until it happens.
So they started the chemo. At some point, there had to be some surgeries involved, and so they started the chemo on what, January, February time frame?
Late January.
When did they say, okay, now we have to start?
I did hardcore chemo through May.
Okay. And
I coached my son's baseball team that year. I would go from chemo on a Wednesday morning to a baseball game on Wednesday night. I'd feel like crap, but I wasn't going to miss a game. And I was the coach of the team, and I can't tell you how many games I coached where I'm on third base going, I'm about ready to puke.
Really?
But I'm not going to because I'm not going to miss the game. I missed one game that year only because my wife wouldn't let me go to the game. She goes, there's no way in hell you're going. She goes, you just look horrible. You can't get out of the bathroom. I go, Mom.
I guarantee you, we're going to talk about
honey,
what
I'm going.
Fucking stud. That's like a pseudo cuss. This guy is, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, So you started doing surgeries probably, that summer-ish?
Yeah, it was June of 2010. And I actually went to California to have surgery. We talked to a few doctors in Vegas.
Right.
And then we met a doctor who's a world-renowned surgeon from Italy, Rome, who did the robotics surgery. And I kind of liked that idea of doing that. And they talked about how they would do it and how you come out of the surgery and you're likely going to have a bag and you're going to have this and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't want to have a bag. I was arguing with the guy. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that.
Right.
And that probably is the reason why I've had one for 6 years since, because I've had so many other problems that have gone on. But so I'm sitting there and I have the surgery and I come out of surgery and the doctor says it goes well. And really all I had was some arthroscopic holes.
Right. And that was the one to take out the mass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it was phenomenal. The robotic, I forget, it's a Galileo. It's not that. It's some
Galileo.
No, but it's got some kind of name like that.
It's Italian.
I know. And I can't remember it off the top of my head. Da Vinci. It's Da Vinci. It really is. It's Da Vinci. I think of it somehow.
Okay.
So then and they get you up and you're walking around and you're recovering. And I got up. I'll never forget it. It was 2010 during the World Cup.
Yeah.
My mother and father are there. I'm in California in a hospital called City of Hope, great cancer facility, and my wife. And I got up to go to the bathroom. And I came back. And we're watching the USA-Ghana soccer game in the World Cup. And remember the Zazulas?
Oh, yeah.
That's the game. We're watching that game.
Yeah.
And I get back into bed. My wife feels my forehead, and she goes, you got a fever. I go, okay. That's about the last thing I remember for the next 3 weeks.
What?
I went into a coma. I went septic, had a monster infection. And the last thing I remember is them shoving an NG tube up my nose, which is the most god-awful, painful thing I've ever had in my life. I'd rather have Aborigine women put a catheter in me, okay, than have to deal with.
And I've had Aborigine women do that, and it's completely unpleasant. So you go into a coma.
I went, and then I had 7 more surgeries to fight off the infection.
While you were in
I was in a coma.
Coma?
I was in a coma, yeah. I mean, my kidneys shut down. I flatlined. I'm in the hospital. I call it the Rip Van Winkle summer. I'm in the hospital from the end of June through the end of August.
Do they know what happened?
I got an infection from the surgery. A little leak in your bowels probably from the surgery turns into an infection.
Hospitals are dangerous places, man.
That's where people go to die.
Yeah.
So they put me in a coma.
Oh, it was a medically
induced coma because I was having all kinds of stuff going on.
Okay.
So I do have.
For how long?
I do have 2 vivid stories
while I was in the coma.
Well,
let's hear that.
They're more like dreams.
Yeah, well, Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe you talk to God. And if that's the case,
I know.
I'm really sorry for everything I've done to you if I've done anything wrong.
It was really weird.
Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, one of them involved baseball because I was coaching the baseball team and my son's all-star team for Little League. They were very good. And I was supposed to be back to coach the team, and I didn't make it. And I guess in my mind, they had made it to San Bernardino where the Western Regional Championships are before they go to the Little League World Series. And I'm at the game. I'm in my hospital bed. I'm in the press box. I can hear everything going on, but I can't see the game.
Oh, man.
And I'm going nuts. I'm thrashing around like crazy, and everybody's walking by me, and nobody's coming to help me, and I'm going nuts. So after I get out of the coma, I'm telling my wife about this. She goes, oh, yeah, there's times they had to restrain you because you're moving around like crazy.
Wow.
Like, wow, that's what was going on. Then the other one, and this is the kind of the funny one. I born and raised in St. Louis. Okay, I'm a big Cardinal baseball fan, as you know. Hate's too strong. I really don't like the Chicago Cubs. Okay, can we say that? All right.
Sure.
So I'm in.
It's your start, Brett.
I lived in Chicago for a while. My wife is from Chicago. Right. All right. So here's me, the businessman in my mind. I created a business. Taking Cub fans.
What? This is while you're in your coma?
Oh yeah, vividly.
Okay.
I'm taking Cub fans from Iowa to Wrigley Field
Where else would you
on
go?
a train along the Illinois River.
Sure.
It's a party train.
Right.
And we're drinking and partying the whole way to Wrigley Field. Woo-hoo. And Jamie Gertz is one of my... She's there.
She's okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking Lost Boys. She's there. But why is Jamie Gertz there? I have no idea. But I'm thinking that's a pretty good business idea.
You can do whatever you want.
I'd never really fantasized about Jamie Gertz. I'm trying to figure out how she got in my coma dream.
I believe it's your coma.
Yeah.
You get to do whatever you want.
Yeah. So that's kind of a funny story.
So now,
All right.
so you go through the septic shock. You had
Right.
You had 7 surgeries, as I recall. You come out of the coma. When you come out, did you know you're in a coma? I mean,
that's kind of interesting. The very first thing I woke up and I look at the foot of my bed. And I have, I'm intubated. I haven't used my voice in probably 3 weeks to a month.
Right.
Your eyes haven't been open. You haven't moved anything or anywhere.
Right.
And I look up, and at the foot of my bed, I see my oldest brother and my dad.
Right.
And basically, without saying anything, I think I'm basically saying is, what are you guys doing here?
What's going on?
And my brother's like, I've been here. He just said, I've been here for a week. Where have I been?
Did you say that?
I'm thinking to myself, where have I been? Where have I been? You've been knocked out in a coma.
Wow.
So, then you start gradually figuring out all the things that happen.
That's
And then you start
step.
getting to look at your surroundings and you see, you might be used to seeing like one IV bag hanging or 2 if you're in the hospital. Imagine 3 racks on both sides, each one with like 7 or 8 different things on them. And you're going, I got like 25 different things going on in my body. I've got 4 or 5 hoses coming out of me.
Wow.
And I'm going, drainage tubes and all kinds of stuff going on. And I can't move because I haven't moved.
Right.
And my right arm is completely useless. Really? It's gone. I have no use of my right arm.
But why was
I had
that?
nerve damage in my arm, and I lost complete use of my right arm.
Wow.
It works now. Put it this way, I was so weak when I woke up, I couldn't change the channel on the remote control.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine trying to. Now those hospital ones aren't easy.
It's because they're Fred Flintstone ones.
Right.
You got to go click, and then a bird flies out.
Yeah.
It goes, channel 3. Right. And then the mouse goes,
Exactly.
channel 3.
Right. So I ended up having to go through occupational therapy and what's the other one? Physical therapy, obviously not behavioral. But I have to admit, I am the worst patient on the planet.
Because why?
I was just angry. I was frustrated. I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I've shared that with every nurse that walked in the
interesting.
door.
So you've mentioned angry a couple times now, and I got to tell you, the whole time I'm thinking I'd be scared out of my fucking gourd.
Yeah.
But you don't really come across like that.
You are, and we all have our moments where you're not feeling like it's a good time. Usually those things happen when I'm alone. I try not to do them in front of the kids or try not to do them. I don't, even with my wife, I'm not that kind of guy that's going to break down with her. If I do, it's on my way to work while I'm driving down the road.
Wow.
Sometimes it'll get you because you're by yourself and you got 10 minutes to let it happen.
Jesus, you're just a fucking stud.
So then after, so it's the end of July.
It's worth my over under.
It's the end of July, or it's the middle of July. I'm still in California, and I'm getting better, and it's getting time for me basically to figure out what are you going to do?
What do you
How
mean?
are you going to get out of here?
How are
you going to get back to Las Vegas? I'm still.
I don't understand.
I was recovering.
Right.
I came out of the coma and I started recovering.
Right.
Started to eat, started to move around, I literally had to walk again. I mean, I'm in a bed for a couple of weeks still, or another week, and the doctor's like, they're getting frustrated with me because I wasn't doing anything. My wife was getting frustrated with me because I wasn't.
You weren't doing anything.
Meaning I'm not forcing myself to work with the physical therapist. Every time they walk in my room, I tell them to get the hell out of here.
Oh, because
get out of here. I don't want nothing to do with you.
Oh, really?
And then the little Filipino nurse, okay, Mr. Grant. And my wife would go, don't you dare leave. And she would make them stay. Right. She goes, no, we can't make them. And she goes, I'm making you. And my wife and I had great fights about that. And it wasn't until finally, I had a really hard time sleeping in the hospital. I couldn't sleep overnight at all. And of course, when you would fall asleep, it would be about 5 o'clock in the morning. And of course, that's when the doctors are rounding before surgery, and they're making you up for X-rays and more scans and more stuff. Right. And I really didn't sleep hardly at all. And that's why another reason why I was miserable. Right. And it wasn't until the doctor and I also, after those 7 surgeries, I had an open wound. Oh. If you took, it was at least this big, of an open wound, healing, and it's got bandages around it. And every day they would come and take the bandages off, and they'd pick at it. Yeah, exactly. You're like, and you're like, God, you're killing me.
They didn't give you the morphine?
No, it's just like, well, we're just trying to see how it's healing, make sure there's no infections. Because my weight ballooned because I was retaining water like crazy. So I had probably gained 100 pounds at one time, all water weight but my kidneys shut down before they got them going again. The amazing thing about the kidney deal was this particular hospital had an old time dialysis machine. Like there's 7 of them left in the world. Right. They had one. Regular dialysis machines probably would have killed me. They had this thing, which was the size of a furnace. I mean, it was this tall. It would burn like a furnace, like the hottest thing in the world. And what is that? And my wife would go, "That's what kept you alive. That machine kept your kidneys going." Because I remember she would always come in and check the urine bag. And I go, "Why do you always keep checking that?" She goes, "You understand? You didn't have a drop, not a drop for over a week." I'm like, wow. Okay. Well, no wonder that machine's there and you keep looking at that. Okay, I got you there. But it wasn't until the doctor came in and goes, "Well, Brett, what's it going to be today?" Because they tried to feed me a few times solid foods and I would get sick. Okay. And I couldn't keep anything down. Yeah. And then there's nothing worse than getting sick and you can't move to get out of bed and stand up and wait for them to clean your bed. They're rolling you over back and forth to clean the bed. I know the nurses hated me. Right. Because they're like,
probably because you call them maids. Excuse me, can I get a chocolate on my pillow while you're cleaning up my puke? Hey, we're slightly offended by that. Please don't call
I know.
That.
So the doctor says, "What are you going to do today?" So, Doc, I want to feel my ass off the bed. I don't care if it's by an inch. Right. And he goes, "I've been waiting for you to say that for about a week." Yeah. I go, "I want my feet to touch the ground." Yeah. He goes, "All right, now we're moving in the right direction." And the very first day, I might have took 2 steps.
Yeah. It was hard, I bet.
Oh, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And then, then I'd sit up a lot more and I'd start doing leg exercises and doing that stuff. And then then that afternoon, I probably walked like 25 steps. And by later that week, I probably walked 400 or 500 steps around the hospital thing and was gradually getting better with stuff. So then it was time to come back to Vegas. My wife's a teacher. She's got to come back and start school. She goes, "I got to go back to work." Yeah. What are we going to do? So it's like, how do you get Brett back to Las Vegas? He's still not healthy enough to go home. So they're going to take me to a rehab place in Vegas.
Okay.
So imagine it's August, about the 13th of August, in a hospital, in an ambulance, in a gurney, going across the desert. That's me. You've got this much room. You're laying down. You still have 15 things coming out of you.
Oh, yeah. Right. Oh.
This is gone. My tracheotomy is gone. You see the scar right
I
here.
do, yeah.
That's gone. So at least I can speak. But I've got IVs, I've got feeding tubes, I've got drainage tubes, I've got an open wound, I got all kinds of stuff.
YouTube.
They take me to a rehab center at Lake Mead and Smoke Ranch. Okay. We're there for 5 minutes before my wife goes, nope. Fucking way. You're staying here. And she goes, "This ain't happening."
Yeah, all right.
So she calls my son's doctor, who says, all right, give me 5 minutes. And he made a couple phone calls. Ambulance guys were still there.
Right.
Get him back on the bus, Gus.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How awesome is
We're
that?
taking him down to Southern Hills Hospital by where I close to where I live.
First of all, just big hand for strong women.
Yes. She's a rock. There's no doubt about it. Love you, honey.
I got one of those.
Yep.
And that's why I always call her ma'am now, because she actually requires it. But that's neither here nor there. Please keep your story going.
So the funny thing is I ended up going to the hospital at Southern Hills, and my oncologist doctor, Dr. Michael, has a team of doctors come and check on me.
Right.
And they come and run a bunch of tests, and the doctor goes, I'm not exactly sure how they let you out of the hospital. He goes, forget about cancer. You've got at least 50 things wrong with you.
What?
Okay. First of all, you got pneumonia. There's no doubt in my mind you got pneumonia.
Well, thanks, Happy Pants.
Okay. You're like, really? Yeah, you got pneumonia. You got probably 4 or 5 other infections going on. You have no use of your right arm. You've got this, that, the other thing.
Right.
And it's like,
other than that,
you're good.
right.
He goes, we can't even deal with any cancer stuff and chemo or any of that kind of follow-up stuff until we take care of you and this other stuff.
Wow.
This is at the end of August. I actually went home on my wife's birthday, August 23rd.
Right.
Is when I went back home. I went back to work in January. So that's how long it took me to recover. And at that stretch, just give you an idea, I had a PICC line, which is a line moving in, and my wife.
A permanent line that's just there.
My wife, who's a teacher,
right,
5 times a day, hooked me up to IVs.
No kidding.
And gave me medicine and did all that kind of stuff at 5 a.m.
No kidding.
Midnight, all the way through the day. She'd come home from school. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even move my arm. They brought a hospital bed into the house. Right. I couldn't go up the steps, so I had to be able to sleep somewhere.
Right.
That hospital bed was there for probably a week. My wife goes, you know what? You're not fucking dying here. That bed leaves the house now. And if you can't make it up the stairs, tough shit, sleep on the couch. It was the greatest motivation ever, because I'm trying to learn how to go up the steps again,
right.
all that kind of stuff.
Right.
She goes, you're going to figure it out, because that bed is not in my house. I'm like, all right. Of course I'm fighting her.
By the way, she's about as big as a minute. She can't be bigger than...
I'm like...
Literally, this is her real size. Yeah. She's a little girl.
She's 5 feet tall. She's not tall enough to be a flight attendant. That's God's honest truth. She did not get a job when she was 21 because she wasn't tall enough. I'm sorry, I can't reach your luggage.
Right. Ma'am, can you help me?
No, not really.
But I know a guy.
Let me get my step stool. Hang on a second here. Right? So that's kind of, and then they gradually started to recover my arm. And then I had, somebody come in once every couple of days to check on my wound, make sure that was healing properly and all that kind of stuff. And it gradually did. And then I started to be able to use my arm again. It just takes time, and you
got back to
the variety
work.
Of doctors and.
So basically you'd be in, I guess, a recovery maintenance thing. Do you get cured? Do you get maintained?
I think the one thing my doctors always said to me is, because of the severity of what I had. And actually, he said a couple things, but he said, look, as long as you're alive, you're going to probably you'll be on some kind of medication.
Right.
Because that's because I'll never be able to say to you, Brett, I'll see you in a year. Just not the way it's going to be.
Okay.
Come on in for a checkup once a year.
Yeah.
That'd be the greatest news they ever had, but he goes, that's probably not going to be you. So just understand that. Now, I did go to one of those, you might have seen the ads for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
In Arizona?
I went to the one in Chicago.
Okay.
Pretty cool deal, to be honest with you.
I have seen it.
Yeah. You see the commercials.
They're very effective.
They fly you out there. My wife and I fly us there. Fly us to Chicago at O'Hare. Pick us up in a limousine. Drive us to their facility, which is in Waukegan, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes to an hour north of the airport in Chicago, northern suburbs.
Okay.
You're out in the middle of, you're a block from Milwaukee.
Right.
That's how far north you are. You're still in Illinois, but you're like, I did Milwaukee, like right there.
Right. Can we get a beer?
It's just about right there. They put you up in a hotel, and then for 3 days you meet with a variety of different people, a naturalist, an internist. You meet with a pastor. You meet with all kinds of things, that the entire holistic approach.
Right.
And they talk about nutrition. They talk about this. They talk about that. They give you massages. They teach you how to do all kinds of stuff going on. And they run some tests.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to the internist, and she said, look, cancer in a lot of ways is like diabetes. It's becoming a manageable disease, a more and more manageable disease. And the longer you're alive,
really,
every year you stay alive, there's more and more stuff on the horizon. To keep, I've taken medications.
That's got to be amazing.
I've taken probably 5 or 6 medications that did not exist when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Things that weren't, and there's or a newer and improved version of a medicine that's been around for a long time.
Right.
You know, like the all new improved Tide. It makes your clothes wider. But then went through the whole process, and it was time to meet the oncologist there. Right. And the guy walked in the room, and my wife and I looked at each other, and we both just went, I don't like him. Don't like him.
Really?
Loved everything about the entire experience and just didn't like him. The good news was...
Which is important.
Right. Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
and the good news was, though, that he said, look, the care you're getting in Vegas is very good. I wouldn't change a thing they're doing for you.
That's got to feel
give
good,
you,
too.
Yeah, it did. It gave you that reassurance of going, I would give you the exact same medicines, the same regimen, the same schedule. No. Everything would be the same, except you would come to Chicago. And I'm going, why the hell would I go to Chicago?
Right. Milwaukee-ish.
Southern Hills Hospital is like 10 minutes away. Right. I'll go there instead. So that was kind of it.
So here you are today.
Here I am today.
I think I've told you this before, and I've told other people, that I think you're a fucking stud.
Thank you.
And I don't say that lightly. I think there are very few studs of the F variety. Actually, I don't know any other than you. and I will say that, I've known that you've had cancer for some time.
Right.
And you just seem like a cat who just gets at life. And so I'll just tell you that I'm super impressed by you.
Well, thank you.
Super impressed. But I have a couple of questions. I've always been, I've known, but you and I have never had a talk about this before. This is the first time you and I have talked about this to any extent. And part of what I want to know is, how do you want? Do you talk to other people about this? How do you expect people to react to it? Is it okay to ask how you're doing?
Sure.
I don't really know. Because I think for many
people
of us,
that know that. Like for example, I was at my son's baseball game yesterday, and there's people I haven't seen since I was diagnosed, or maybe for a year or longer, that know. Or knew I had cancer, and they'll say, how you doing? How you feeling? How's it going?
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there, still fighting the fight.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
So that's okay.
I kind of keep it casual.
And we just saw in the live chat, Danny just said, I would never have known that Brett was going through anything like this.
Right.
And that's
the funny thing is Renee, who you've met at the radio station.
Yeah.
Renee, not that I'm good looking. She calls me because you're the best looking cancer patient I've ever seen. Thank you very much.
Today's low bar.
Yeah. I love you too, Renee. But the funny thing was I never lost my hair until a year ago.
I remember that.
And there was a different medicine, and all of a sudden I got out of the shower one day and I'm going, and you look at the towel, you're going, holy crap.
What the?
And it just started. It fell out in like 2 days. Oh yeah,
because you have a nice head of hair.
Yeah, this is all me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and
you're not a hair club.
And then I had to go and do a TV thing, and I was kind of like fireman dude from In Living Color, the Jim Carrey character that had to have his hair burned off, and it one ugly comb over it. I go, this isn't working. I just went to someplace and go shave it off.
Melissa has a question. Melissa wants to know: did your hair grow back differently?
No, that's one of the things it can do. If you have curly hair, sometimes they say it'll grow back straight or vice versa. My hair has always been curly.
Right.
If I let my hair grow without cutting it, I would be Dr. J playing. I would be Ike Turner singing Proud Mary. All right, I'd be rolling. All right, I would have the biggest.
I can give you that voice.
I'd have the biggest bush hairdo ever, and at the end of the day, I could scrub your pots and pans. It's like a Brillo pad.
Hey, baby, Brett Grant here.
Exactly.
I kind of like you, and I think you and I should go dancing.
Okay.
Yeah. So my hair is still pretty thick. And
it's a very nice head of hair.
Thank you.
I think I'm very okay. So
and it grew back after I stopped taking that medicine.
So people who do you not? I guess you don't really bring it up to people.
I do sometimes.
How does it come up?
I'll bring up the cancer card once in a while when it might benefit me. Hey, is there a parking spot closer?
You know what? I was just going to say, valet.
Right.
Right.
Well, no, I honestly,
tried the $5 trick.
I do have a handicap sticker because I needed one for a long period of time.
Right.
And one of the things that the medicines that do, it's caused foot problems for me.
All right.
And there's times I can't walk very far without having to have all kinds of pain. So yeah, I still have one and use it for that. But the funny thing is, I never, ever use it when I go to the hospital.
Really?
Because it's where really sick people are.
Yeah.
But if I'm at the golf course,
I'm
at the golf course, I'm using that handicap spot, baby.
Is that partially because you're not a good golfer, or because I
don't want to carry my clubs that far?
I saw one of your Facebook posts where you're playing and you did poorly.
Yeah, I left.
And you were like really pissed, and you left, and I'm like, man, I've never.
Well, I played 4 years of college golf. I mean, I
didn't know that.
A very good player.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, I thought
so.
You were just
mentally,
kind of a guy.
mentally, I'm still Tiger Woods.
Oh, okay.
Physically, I'm Dorf on golf.
Dorf.
All right. So that's what Some days, like I played this past Sunday with a couple of good friends of mine.
Those things, by the way.
Oh, I did. I played Sunday with a couple of buddies of mine, and I played much better and made a few putts, and life was good. And
right.
I never thought about throwing a club or walking off the course because I was having fun.
Right.
But the other day, that one day, I was going, oh my God. It was more embarrassing than anything else. I mean, and you play 4 years. I mean, I was a 2 or 3 handicap at one point.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
But
never would have guessed that.
The funny thing, it's one of the things my doctor said.
Hey, can you teach me how to golf?
Sure.
Yeah, probably
Don't do it.
Really?
Don't do it. Well, if you want, let me ask you: are you lacking in frustration in your life?
Oh yeah, no.
You'll need it. You'll have plenty of it coming up.
Are you lacking in frustration?
That'd be the great way to sell golf. Are you lacking in frustration?
Have we got a deal for you?
Do you have 5 hours you really don't have to waste? Let's go play golf.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, no, I love the game because I've always played it. But I played. My doctor invited me to play in a golf tournament with him back in November.
Right.
And he's like, hey, it's a benefit thing for whatever, and I want you to come play. Okay. So I ended up going to play with him, and I played fantastic that day. I mean, I made 6-7 birdies. I mean, I was the best I played.
You were on fire.
It was. And he's looking at me. He's going, I was impressed with you before, but no, this is really impressive. I said, Doc, I'm on fire today. This has got nothing to do. I'm holing out shots from the fairway from 125 yards away.
I don't even know who
I made putts of 50, 60 feet away. He's looking at me going,
Holy
if
crap.
you make this one, I'm going to walk off the course and I make it. He's like, oh my God. I mean, I played great.
So my last question before we take a break, and we're exactly at an hour. Hey,
not too bad.
That's too bad. We've got other things to do, and we're going to do them. All right. So if one of the things that Melissa said when I told her we were going to talk about this, she said, I think that people who are going through what Brett has gone through will appreciate this because they may not have somebody to talk to. Kind of like what you said. I don't want to tell the family. I don't want to burden the family, but I don't want to feel alone.
Right.
As I've said before, I think that your attitude is stunning, and I believe you when you say there are quiet times when you're afraid or whatever. But I don't mean to throw it away. But you seem to be, from my perspective, unusually strong. So my question to you is, what advice would you give somebody who's been diagnosed with cancer or any kind of scary illness? That has allowed you to. I mean, I believe that part of your survival is that you've got an amazing attitude. I believe that's probably true.
I think I've always been a believer that attitude determines altitude. Yeah. And it doesn't mean the way that I've handled cancer is the right way, the wrong way, the only way, the best way. It's my way. Yeah. It's Frank Sinatra. I'm doing it my way. It doesn't, nobody knows what the future holds for any of us.
Right.
So to me, it's, they came to you early with a social worker and, hey, this support group's available and this group's available. And I was never interested in that only because I didn't want to be around sick people. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I'm not making a joke about it.
I get it.
When people go in, and I go into that chemo room at Comprehensive Cancer Center, first of all, the nurses are fantastic. So shout out to Emily and Bill and the people that have been taking care of me. They've been Mona, who talked baseball with me for 2 years. She was a Yankee fan. She left, but she used to yell at me. She used to keep me, I love that. She could never. She could never find a vein half the time, and she'd come in. God dang it, Brett! How about a vein? I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? So
I could start doing heroin.
Right. It was fun because she kind of kept it loose.
Yeah.
For me, I go in there.
Good nurses are stunning.
Right.
Stunning.
Yeah. There's probably 6 or 7 pods, and each pod might have 4 or 5 chairs of people getting treatment. So you're kind of in your little pod, and some people will talk
Do
to
you
each
see
other.
each other? Oh, you do see
You
each
do,
other.
and because you're kind of in a horseshoe.
Okay.
And, there's a person over there, and they might be older. Most people are older than I was. Now, of course, although there were times when you see somebody younger. But I don't really want to. I don't want to hear about your breast cancer. I don't want about your testicular cancer. I don't need to know about your pancreatic cancer, your brain cancer. I'm not telling you about my cancer. I'm going to put on my headphones. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to play with my laptop or my phone, and I'm out. I'm going to
Just doing your own
sleep.
stuff.
I'm going to get up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat my lunch.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't even stay. She did for a while, and she goes, "You know what? I just can't hang around." I
Got
go,
it.
"Honey, it's okay. I'm okay. Please don't worry about it. If you want to bring me lunch at your lunch break, bring me lunch.
Yeah.
I don't need you to stay here and hold my hand. I'm okay."
A question from the live chat. Danny wants to know, do they still consider the cancer stage 4?
Yes, it'll always be considered stage
It never
4.
goes back.
No, because my cancer left the building.
Once it's been Elvis.
Yep,
It's Elvis.
there. But the biggest thing now is they do. There's a couple of screening tests that you do. One of them is your tumor cells, and a person without cancer, they call it your CEA level, cancer something. Anyway, if let's say you're a thank God, no cancer for you. If you went and got a blood test, the average person without cancer, that test comes back at 2.5 or less. Okay, 2.5 or less. Uh-huh. Mine was, when I got diagnosed, mine was 11. Okay. I know another guy with the exact same disease I had, and unfortunately he passed away about a year ago, or not even a year ago, 6 to 8 months ago. His was as high as 165.
Wow.
Okay. Mine's never been higher than 11.
Wow.
And if you did that test today, mine is 0.5.
Wow.
And has been below 2.5 probably since I've had the surgery. Wow. It's never gotten above 2.5 or 3 ever since.
That's got to be reassuring.
And that's good. And then there's another one they do. It's called a circulating tumor cell count, which basically takes blood and they test the blood to see if there are any cancer cells circulating in your body.
Right.
And the ideal number is 0.
Right.
And mine's been as high as 20, 24, which is high. And that's when I've had to go back on chemo and do hardcore stuff.
It's going up and down sometimes.
But the last 3 times it's been 0.
Wow.
So I'm in a good place right now. Currently doesn't mean I'll always be there. But and the biggest thing about it with me is I have to have a scan, basically a PET scan where they inject you with a radioactive sugar, or you do a CT scan.
Right.
I do one every 3 months. So every quarter I go in for a scan.
Right.
And that's how I kind of live my life based on the news of that scan.
Right.
If I get a good scan, next 3 months are good.
Right.
Probably don't have to have a lot of chemo.
Right.
Probably things stay the way they are. Status quo for another 3 months. I get a bad done. Then we got to change the plan of what we're doing.
Right.
So that's kind of how you're living your life.
Well, on behalf of everybody who's listening or watching and the people in the live chat, thanks.
Yeah, no. And for anybody, obviously cancer is something that everybody has to deal with at some point or another, whether it's their family themselves or loved ones, whatever. I mean, there's tons of resources out there. For me, I've leaned on my family. I've leaned on my friends. I've talked to people, but I'm not one of those guys. But there are support groups out there, especially for women who have go through breast cancer and they have to have mastectomies and they lose their hair. There's a lot more, obviously, physical stuff that goes on there than it does for me. I don't give a crap about, I've had an ostomy for 5 years.
Yeah.
The best thing about it is I never have to sit on a public toilet again. That's a pretty good thing, right? That's a pretty good thing.
And that is why you are a fucking stud. And I'm willing to do that. All right. Thanks again, Brett. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to, you know what? I got to have a drink.
On me.
So I'm going to have a drink, and we may do a listener email or not. This is the Living in Las Vegas podcast on the Vegas Video Network. Hey, everybody. Scott Whitney for LASIK of Nevada. And I know what you're thinking. Scott, you're wearing glasses. What on earth can you tell me about LASIK? Well, let me tell you my story. So some time ago, I went and saw Dr. Rothman to see if I could get the LASIK procedure done. And I went through a bunch of tests and come to find out I wasn't a candidate. But instead of those $299 an eye guys who will pretty much work on anybody, Dr. Rothman said to me, it just wasn't an option at the time, which I really appreciated. Now, meantime, he's gone on and done 60,000 procedures. I've got friends in Reno. I've got friends here in Vegas who've all seen Dr. Rothman. As a matter of fact, he's the most experienced LASIK surgeon living in Nevada. So check out LASIKofNV.com. Again, LASIKofNV.com. And if you let them know that you heard about him from us, they'll give you 50% off of LASIK plus an extra $200 off. Again, that's LASIKofNV.com. Alrighty, welcome back.
I just want to say one more thing because I forgot to mention it.
Well, sure, go ahead.
Which was faith. Faith is huge in this entire process. And I've had people praying for me all over the world. When you hear about somebody in Italy or Argentina and other parts of the world, and you're on prayer groups for people that you never met, and people did fundraisers for me that I never met.
Wow.
Well, somebody knocked on my door one day and brought cookies. And I go, who are you? They're like, we heard about you from a baseball thing. We're just a baseball family. We heard about your story, and here's some cookies. Wow. I go, are they chocolate chip?
Yes. Come on in.
But I've had prophetic readings. I've had of course anointings and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of faith in,
and you believe
in
that
higher
was
power.
Helpful.
Absolutely. I think there's power in prayer. There's no doubt about that.
That's very good.
Let's have a drink.
Speaking of that, did you?
There's power in the alcohol.
You've been talking a lot. Go ahead and help yourself with the FUCK wine.
There's nothing left,
which is what we're drinking. Well, I gave you the majority.
Apparently, it's
of it.
what you're drinking.
I didn't know. I'm not going to have it this time.
Okay, look at this.
I had a little bit.
I had a
little. Look at. I'm not having it. We're about even. I had a little. No, actually,
you're on your fourth glass.
You're full of shit. I'm not having this. I'm not having this talk anymore. Okay. Right. Hey, speaking of drinking wine, perfect segue. Well done, Brett. This is Have a Drink on Me. This is the part where I buy you a drink. What? Is that possible? Yep. It is absolutely possible. How do I play along? Good question. You send an email to haveadrink@vegasvideonetwork.com. But why would I do that? Well, what we do is we show you a picture of a bar that I've been to or somebody's been to. We give you a couple of hints and you guess. And if you guess right, well, then you get to win stuff. You get to say, what do you win?
What do you win, Scott?
Excellent job. Broadcaster, are you? Professional broadcaster?
I'm sorry, I was still in the break.
I was still in the break. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to be a real broadcaster. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's what you win. First, a drink on me. You're in Vegas, whether you're a local or you're a tourist, you're coming in, you're like, you know what? I want that Scott guy to buy me a drink. I hear he's a fun guy. Completely. I'll buy you a drink. Whatever you want. If it's a girl drink, hell, I'll still buy you a drink. It doesn't matter. Hell, by the way, if you want something like with a little bit, what's that drink? Anything with gin is good.
You're a gin guy? You like gin?
Oh, I love gin.
Really?
Tanqueray tonic is
That's
the
your
nectar.
drink?
Well, it's the nectar of the gods.
Really?
Tanqueray.
I never liked gin.
No, it's the nectar of the gods. Of course, we like. What do we like?
I never got into gin. Gin and tonic to me is like just.
What are you doing?
God, I just never liked it.
Well, you drank crap gin, which is important.
No, I've had Tanqueray and tonic. I just don't like it. Is Tanqueray crap gin?
No.
Okay, I just didn't like the taste of gin. Don't like a gin martini. I'll drink a vodka martini all day.
God, what's happening?
I know. I like bourbon and I like
Moscow Mule.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, what is happening?
I don't like gin.
All right, well, you know what? That was a good story about the whole cancer thing. I got a new host.
I'm back to your second favorite. I like vodka and bourbon. I'm whiskey.
Together?
Better than gin.
Well, that's called a Long Island iced tea, by the way.
Right, yeah.
I think this is what okay, so what do you win? You win a drink on me, which is pretty awesome. Or you can have one of my CDs. Really? Anything good about that? Let me think about it. Yep, here's a sound. Yeah, that's one of the mellow ones. So that's Jazzathon, which is a jazzy thing. But if you like the Christmas, you can have, by the way, Brett will win 2 of these CDs because of his story today.
They look the same.
He likes Christmas.
Are they the same?
It's Christmacoustic and Christmacoustic 2.
Oh, okay. But
2 different CDs.
All right.
Holidays.
It's kind of like Freedom Rock 1 and 2, same cover.
That's exactly right. Okay, stop this music. Or you might want a Vegas Video Network visor. You may be saying, is that a cheap visor? No. That's actually embroidered.
It's very good looking.
And you know how you know it's good looking? This guy right here.
Well, I do want to say shout out to my dad he was in the hospital. He is back home and doing well. I love you, Dad, and he's doing well.
Good. So was he wearing his?
I think that's what made him help him get out.
So that
was the secret elixir that got him out.
Right, besides the, I think it's called. Well, there's a S word that means clothing. Is also a medicinal value.
Right.
And I've actually had to order a whole bunch more of these because people are asking for them. I'm like, how about a drink on Scott? No, we actually want your stuff, your swag. Okay, so let's look at last week's Have a Drink on Me. Let's look at last week's Have a Drink on Me. There it is. And the clues were, it's called Stage Door, it's called Stage Door, and it's called Stage Door.
And it's not called the Stage Deli.
Right. And that wasn't the clues, but we've got to move along because somebody tell a long story.
Well, I could have told it a lot longer, too.
I'm kidding. All right, so here we are. Right. We had 12 entries for that particular place. I'll show it again. 12 entries, 10 of which were correct. So I'm going to pop these in here. And remember, I think I said last week that if you say something funny or interesting, well, hell, I'm going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
These people said nothing funny or interesting, so they get nothing. Now, here's who we're voting for.
Oh, we got some people who did say something.
Yeah, Monica Fagan, she said, thanks, Brett, for bringing Midwest flavor to living in Las Vegas.
Atta girl.
And then she said, parenthetically, love you, Scott. Hey, just so you know, it used to be my show. Put that in there. Right. Monica.
I'm winning over the audience.
Eric, you are, and I will never forgive you for that. Eric Hansen says, I got nothing funny. I'm from Canada.
That was pretty funny. Which in amongst itself is
But I would say, wait a minute, Jim Carrey's funny, but then Melissa will eventually say he's not funny. He's a douchebag.
He used to be funny.
Yeah, he used to be funny. Yeah. And then he got a little woo.
See, I loved In Living Color. I thought he was brilliant.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And that first couple movies, amazing. We can debate. Okay, never mind. Right. Jim Shapinko. Only reason why I put him on here is because he's from California, Pennsylvania.
Wow. He's from 2 states?
That's a pretty good... There's a town called California in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I thought he's a pretty good Twister player.
Right. Left foot red. Okay, and then Penny. Now, Penny won a couple weeks ago. Our rule is if you win, you can't play the next week. But Penny, who clearly... I don't mean to be judged, but Penny, I think you're being a little greedy. God bless your little heart. Penny's back in again, and the reason why I'm talking about her is because she said, happy birthday, Brett.
Thank you, Penny. God bless you, Penny.
Yeah.
All right. Mike actually had a great idea, which was...
what's that?
It's called Living in Las Vegas with Brett Grant.
That's really funny. Let me see if hold on. Just so you know, Mike, I can ban you, you freaking PDX, pot smoking, Uber hating.
Ban him.
All right. Wait, you're holding this. Wait, I'm doing this.
And then I'm usually I'm picking out the winner.
Sometimes I'm just a little shook up because nobody wished me happy birthday. Nobody wished me happy birthday when I had
When's your birthday?
Let's not worry about the details.
Oh, okay.
It was February. So we weren't doing the show.
We weren't even here yet.
So,
happy belated birthday.
So they could have said, hey, by the way, Scott, happy birthday back in February.
Happy Arbor Day.
Instead, happy birthday, Brett. Thanks, Brett. Oh, Brett's really great. Brett's a great guy. Thanks, Brett. Brett's really fantastic. Brett's making the show great.
Somebody's having a tizzy fit.
All right, here you go, Brett.
Yes, sir. Mr. Whitney.
Here we go.
Right, here it is. The winner is... It's Michael Gerzhowski.
Oh, and I love that because I couldn't pronounce his name.
Michael Gerzhowski.
Michael, what does Michael win?
I don't know.
Nope.
Tell him with Don Pardo. Come on down.
Mike wins either a drink on your good buddy Scott. Hey, thanks for walking over that one. You could get one of these awesome hat things. Or if you'd like, you could have one of these amazing CDs. Again, that's pretty groovy. Congratulations to the impronounceable Michael Gerzhowski. Big hand, everybody.
It might help if you know how to spell properly and legibly.
Just so you know, I spelled his
Scott.
name. No, I actually spelled his name right.
Like, they got letters running together there.
Gerzhewski.
I got to go with Gerzhowski.
Well, okay, so what's the problem?
He's a good Polish guy from Chicago, over by there. Get you some sausage.
Over by there.
Yeah, he's a Polish guy.
All right, we're going to break right in.
Got to get my brats.
I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
That's what you do with the Polish guys.
I'm skipping the commercial.
They're from Chicago.
All right. You know what I need? I need to hear from the people.
You forgot to do the Where is Adam for next week. I just didn't want to.
Did you know that?
I did when you
All
pushed the
right,
button.
let's go back. What an idiot. I was so excited.
Hey, what's
to get
next
out.
week's Had a Drink on
Hey,
Me, Scott?
great idea. Let's pretend that we didn't do listener email quite prematurely. I just had a prematurely email ejaculation.
Yes, you did.
I guess I did. Okay, here's this week's Have a Drink on Me. God, I really like doing this show. Here we go. There it is.
Have a drink on me.
There it is. Okay,
That's
are
a
you
cool
ready?
spot.
Here's our hints. Hint number 1. The name of this particular bar is based on a color. Might be the color that you see predominant in this photo. Can't say yes or no on that. Hint number 2, I walked by this bar while going to see the Fleetwood Mac and Van Halen and pretty much everybody else in that particular venue.
You saw the Fleetwood Mac and the Van Halen. What
In
if you
the
just saw
same-
Fleetwood Mac and Van Halen
Okay.
and
are
took
you-
out the
What are those called again? That the thing?
article?
Article. Well, yeah, don't challenge my article, man. It's not cool. And then finally, those bottles, they're
bottles.
lit up. The bottles, they get lit up.
Cool.
Right, like people who are probably sitting at that bar.
Like you are now after drinking all that wine.
I had not. Shut the. I'm sick and tired of your games. All right, have a drink at VegasVideoNetwork.com. That's where you're going to send it if you know that place. Again, hint, that bar is named after a color. I walk by it all the time when I go to a major concert at one of the major places here. By the way, that's a really good hint. And the bottles get lit up. That's actually a horrible hint, but it's actually connected. Here's a 4th hint. Bonus hint, it's connected to a casino.
Oh, not your leg bone.
Or the leg bone. Okay, it's listener email time.
Oh, we're going to play it again?
No.
It's time for email, Brett.
And Brett reads the girls. All right. You want to read? No, I don't want you to read this one. All right. It's a guy anyways. Okay, here we go. This email is from Gene. Gene says, OMG. Now, by the way, Gene is probably 70, 60 something. He's 64. He's 61 years old. And he opened the show with OMG.
He's hip. He's happening.
Or he's completely untrustworthy. Okay.
Well, that's possible.
As much as I love the podcast when it works perfectly,
Right.
which is all on time, the rescue version with the audio delay was the best. Okay, so let's talk about that. So we ran out of hard drive space. That's what happened.
Oh,
last
right,
week.
yeah.
Because we're doing longer shows than I anticipated. So we're in the middle of our show last week, and about an hour into it, the TriCaster said, done, no more recording.
Right.
And so we lost it. We did about a 2-hour show. I recorded an hour. But the live stream that we're streaming on actually recorded all of it, and that's what I rescued it. But the problem was there was a slight sync problem between the audio and the video. And old Gene thought that was hysterical. Gene continues. It was the usual mix of great information and irreverent lunacy. Congratulations on that. I'll give you credit for the
That's all me.
lunacy part.
Thank you, sir.
But with the additional fun of being like watching a Japanese monster or kung fu movie.
Godzilla.
At any moment, I was expecting to see one of you guys move as if speaking and then later say, "Oh, Godzilla." Now, so that's fine. That's a great story so
bit,
far, Jeannie.
yes.
So I laughed until I had tears rolling down my cheek. I know it was an accident, but I would really love to see a few minutes of that every week. Stand by.
Oh, we're going to do it now? We're going to get out of sequence?
No.
Oh,
Here's
train wreck.
Here's the
Car
problem
crash.
with this whole thing. Brett and I work very hard at this show.
Somebody works harder.
I work harder. Oh, the hell you do. And
I'm
to get an
naturally
email,
gifted. Scott has to work harder to keep up with me.
That's right. I'm dancing as fast as I can. And to get an email that says, I like the show, but when you fuck it up,
I like it
it's
better.
a lot better. That's the kind of email you're hoping for. So thanks for that one, Gene. Oh, wait, but Gene continues because he is a mean mother. Shut your mouth. I'm just talking about Shaft. Okay. So I would also love I would also love 2 short weekly segment. Okay, so English is a second language from Melissa. Now, as much as I love Brett, I like to see her too and her unique perspective. And so here's the story on that. Never going to happen.
Melissa no like us anymore.
Melissa is super importado, muy importado, as they say in the Spanish. And she's very busy. And the other thing is, every time that we did a show, we fought right afterwards.
Oh, really?
Kind of.
I can't believe you said that.
A little bit.
Right?
No, she's like, yeah, that was it. She's like, I can't believe you did that.
Right.
Why would you do that? Why would you say that? I have a job. I'm like, well, I'm just trying to be. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of not a problem.
I know.
And so she's like, I kind of don't want to do the show anymore. Now, back then.
That's why I tell my wife every Tuesday night I go to the strip clubs.
Because that's better than doing this show. That's awesome. That's what you want, is everybody be afraid of this show. All right. Anyway, so keep up the good work. Oh, by the way, congrats on yet another birthday, Brett. I'm leaving for Vegas in a few hours to celebrate my 61st.
Congratulations.
On the first birthday, they said that I wasn't going to make. So keep up the 1 foot, blah, blah, yada, yada. Okay.
Very nice. Thank you, sir.
And he signs it Pops.
Thank you, Pops.
All right, Pops. Pops.
That's cool.
You know what? I think we're done.
We're done?
Yeah, let's be done.
We got to do some extra chatting.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Grant, everybody.
Thank you very little.
You can go ahead and say Scott Whitney.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Scott Whitney. Actually, how did you clone yourself? That was
did
cool.
you see that?
Yeah,
Did you like
that was
that?
cool. Yeah, I like that.
That was.
Oh, you're supposed to keep talking over the thing.
Yeah, but it's so loud. Okay,
that's our out
I know,
cue.
I know, but I really.
Now Alan's all confused. He doesn't know what to do.
I was going to show. Hold on, wait a minute. Where is that? Where are you? I can't see.
You can show me after.
I've gone blind. No, I wanted to show the people who missed it. Oh wait, hold on. I'm in the wrong damn thing. That's right. Because you know what? It's a good thing I'm not in charge of anything. So here's what he's talking about. I won't play it, but look at this. That's magic right there. How does that even happen? Fast forward a little bit. There's two guys. There's two Scots. Two Scots in one. Hey, how do I turn off that have a drink thing? There you go. Look at that. Oh.
It's not a green screen.
No, that was sitting right there.
It's not a green screen.
That's sitting right there.
Well, Mike suggested a green screen.
No.
Your wife says we can only handle one Scott.
And that's why she's no longer the co-host.
There you go.
Okay, hey, if you want to pretend you like the show, that would be outstanding. We miss you if you do. Okay, so here's how you do it. A couple things. If you want to send an email, if you want to be like Gene and say nice things, send an email to onairq@livinginlv.com. Again, onairq@livinginlv.com. Hey, how about this? You want to hear yourself on the show? Of course you do. A little red tab on the side. You click that, a little thing pops up. You send us a voicemail. Your whites will be whiter. Your brights will be brighter. It's not a promise. That's a guarantee. Other way around. It's not a guarantee. It's a promise, because I don't want you to sue me. Okay? And if you're checking us out on the iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We're also on YouTube, KSHP. We probably weren't on last week.
We were.
Oh, we were?
We were. Like 6 hours.
Did we make it on Friday, or was it like, really?
Well, I probably carried over to Saturday.
Okay, so it was a longer, okay, it was a bit of a long show. What are you going to do? I'm serious. I mean, what are you going to do? Wait, stand by. Music. Oh, so all right. So iTunes, YouTube, KSHP, Roku, which is amazing. You got to get the Roku. Stitcher, VegasVideoNetwork.com. We're on the Facebook. We're on the Twitter. Again, very much thanks to the guy who we all know as the stud, Brett Grant. I'm your host, Scott Whitney, Vegas Video Network. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, all goes well. This episode of Living in Las Vegas is brought to you by the Vegas Video Co-op. Because your online presence is